Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shirtless Plantain Show, the soccer edition. This is your host, Mitch. I'm here as always with Matheus. Hi, Matheus. How are you?
I'm good, Mitch. This time I'm having a good hair day. What do you
It
know?
doesn't say in the little bottom anymore because we're using a different thing, but you're having a good hair day. That's wonderful to hear. Also with us is Emily. Hi, Emily. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm trying to figure out what distinguishes a good hair day from a bad hair day for Matheus, but
I didn't want to say it, but yeah,
Y'all
I think
don't
you're right.
y'all
It
don't
looks
have curly
exactly
hair.
the same.
Y'all don't have curly hair. You guys don't get it. You're not I'm not photogenic either, so that doesn't help. But
Aw,
All right, all
come
right.
on.
If you were feeling like that, you wouldn't be putting your face on camera right now, which is what we're doing now.
it's
Which is
too damn late. We've been doing this show for too long for me to quit doing it on now that's
that's
on
fair.
camera.
You were like faceless and anonymous for a while, and now we all have to show our beautiful faces to everyone. Let's get right into it, guys. We've had an exciting week of soccer here in the States. Let's start out with NWSL, where I don't think there was a bad goal scored this week, which is kind of crazy. Like every single highlight package I watched, there was someone scored a fucking banger. It was truly something. We're gonna start out in Portland, where Sophia Smith scored two bangers against the Chicago Red Stars. Emily, what happened in this game?
I'm laughing because it was in Chicago.
Yeah.
But these details, they matter not.
Yeah.
This was, a matchup of Mal versus Soph, who is going to win out. And it was Sophia Smith by a mile. I have to say, Portland, are they back for real?
Yes.
I think I think this game told me I'm not too worried about them. I mean, I was never really worried. They're not my team, but I think they're gonna turn it around pretty easily. And then it also told me I don't think Chicago is all that for real. They're pretty good defensively, but everything they do is pretty reliant on Mal, as a facilitator. And I'm really questioning why Lauren Donaldson hasn't utilized Shea Groom, who's been on the bench a lot. He hasn't really she's got not gotten a lot of playing time. I think she's someone who can create opportunities for Mal as well. And just add another dimension to the attack. Especially I think we saw last week when they lost, when Mal wasn't playing, that she was, pretty important to them. So yeah, sick goal from, especially the first one from Soph. She she was pretty well defended and just created a half-second window for her to shoot. And I would say most attackers are not going to get that chance off. Superb.
Yeah, she's truly wonderful to watch. Every single time she scores a goal like that, it's awesome. You talked a little bit on the Red Stars and how reliant they are on Mal Swanson. She's had a bit of a slow start to the season. I guess to give her the benefit of the doubt, she was out for a long time. But I think it's 2 goals, 1 assist so far to start the year. Do you think it's service? She doesn't have enough players around her helping her out, or is it just kind of she's easing her way back from injury? Or is Matheus right and she's washed? Let's hope it's not that.
I definitely don't think she's washed. There was actually, to start this game, she fired a shot and it hit the crossbar. Easily could have been Chicago 1 up early and it probably would have been a different game. But yeah, I think she's playing playmaker a lot more than probably looking for her own shots. So I don't think it's necessarily been a slow start. I think they've had a good start to the season. They probably have had maybe easier matches. But I think she'll come good. But I do think they need to add more dimension, at least to give her the opportunities to score.
Fair enough. Let's move on now to the team that's cruising. They're top of the league. Last week you were talking about how Vlatko needs to be stopped. Kansas City Current won 3-1 away to Angel City. This was it was quite the opener from Angel FC because they scored a banger and then the stadium just erupted, and then the goals just started coming in late. We've had another one of these like pulling the goalie type games where a late goal gets scored and then another one on top of it, to where the scoreline looks unflattering to Angel City, despite the fact that they went 90 minutes against Kansas City without like conceding.
Yeah, if I were an Angel City fan, I probably would have slipped into like a deep depressive episode because, yeah, for the majority of this match, I think they did like everything right. You know, they controlled the game. They didn't give up a bunch of chances. It wasn't like erratic at the back, how Kansas City can easily make it that way with their press and their pressure. So for them, and yeah, that goal from Claire Emsley, like she's one player I wanted to talk about because I've loved watching her so far this season. She's been so fun to watch taking players on the dribble, and she's like created a really good understanding, I think, with Alyssa Thompson so far. Like that combination play between them for the opening goal was really good. But this player from Kansas City that I want to talk about, who I don't think has been getting like the props that she should, and who has had just as much probably, played part in their successes, Vanessa DiBernardo, who she scored that opening goal, like kind of out of nowhere, major banger. And she, in her career, like she hasn't really been probably known as like an attacking player. She's always been kind of that engine of the midfield. But this season, like, has totally stepped up, like her attacking. Like I compare it to like a Granite Xhaka season that she's having now, kind of that renaissance. She has 4 goals, 3 assists on the season, and that's like surpassed her goal and assist numbers for like total for like the last 4 seasons, and that's the only those are the only seasons that FotMob has stats, so probably true for the previous seasons as well. And for her to do that in 6 games is like really crazy. So I think she's had, just as much a part to play as Bia and Chawinga have in their success so far.
One thing that I thought was really funny when I was watching the highlights of this game is when Kansas City scored their third, the commentators were talking about like, oh, this wasn't the best game for Chawinga, and she immediately, like, the comedic value of this, of immediately dribbling past like 3 players and assisting a third goal right after they're like, oh, this wasn't the best game for her, was very, very funny. But I do want to talk about what, like, I've realized is I keep seeing as a pattern with these NWSL games this season. Are teams pulling the goalie when they're going down late? Like, are they like fully doing what hockey teams do when they're like down by a goal late in the game and they're pulling the goalie to go all out attack to try to get a goal? Are teams just like really pushing to try to get these points? Because there's got to be some tactical reason why late winners keep being followed by other goals. Like multiple games this year we've seen like, North Carolina won 4-1. 3 of the goals were after the 80th minute. There's got to be some reason that this keeps happening, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a pulling of the goalie, but I agree. Like I think it's metaphorically. I think they just got totally rocked, like, because you're so close to, seeing out this point, which they probably would have been disappointed anyway of not getting 3 points, but that's still a good result for them. So to like, have that winner for Kansas City at like 90 something minute, like I think that was just total deflating. Also, I think there were a lot of changes made late in the game, and I think that interrupted like the just the solid partnerships that they had going back there for the majority of the game. So I think that played a part as well. But yeah, I think it's part heads dropping, tired. It's just so deflating to like see that goal go in.
Yeah, I mean, I only watched the highlights package, but like just looking at the stats here, like Kansas City had 8 shots on target in the second half. Like I know not all of them were super dangerous, but like just that constant pressure piling on and the breakthrough comes, your heads are gonna go down, right? You just get tired. Like it's like what's going on the last half. You're just not gonna track back as hard. It is what it is, and I mean that last goal was kind of devastating. That like Chawinga sliced and diced down the left side.
That was a bad one to give up.
Yeah, and like the near post finish too, where it's just kind of like fumbled in. It's kind of ugly, but
it was like off the hip.
Yeah,
Lavage.
Yeah, I thought Schwinga scored it when I was watching the. I wrote in my notes like, oh, they're talking shit about her, and then she immediately scored, and then I saw the replay and was like, oh wait, this is a goal / assist. I think it maybe goes in without her teammate being there, but very funny comedic value for them to be talking shit, and then she immediately dribbles through people. Let's move on now to Bay FC 1, San Diego 2. What'd you think from this win from San Diego?
Yeah, San Diego came out with a lot of energy, a lot of hunger. I think Casey Stoney's been a bit pissed off about their start to the season. She put out a lineup that probably would have been surprising to people. Jaden Shaw on the bench, Emily Van Egmond on the bench. I mean, Alex Morgan and Abby Dahl-Kemper weren't available for the game. But she put in a lot of young players who, I wasn't familiar with. They put out the lineup. I was like, who are these players? So they came out with a lot of energy, got an early goal, and you could say on the flip side, BFC's probably been that team who's come out really on the front foot, attacking, spark, and they really didn't have that this week. It was pretty flat from them from the jump. I think you could see that they were really missing Alex Wera, and part of that, not just Alex Wera's absence, but they brought Tess Bodie into that holding position, which really kind of stifled their midfield? Yeah, she was playing deep. I think, Albertine Montoya sees her as versatile, but it certainly didn't work. She's been that outlet for them and been often that playmaker in the attack to combine with Oshuala. And they kind of improved in the second half. She was able to get a little bit higher, but it just it really wasn't enough for them. And when Jaden Shaw came on, she killed the game. Awesome, really great team goal. If you haven't seen it, and I'll be kind of really annoyed if she's sitting on the bench to start next week.
Yeah, I don't know how you can warrant benching Jaden Shaw ever. No. Did you see Casey Stoney's manager fit? I think she wore
always notice
turtleneck and blazer. I don't know how I feel about her manager fits.
That is her. I mean, that's been her style since the get go with United.
If that's her brand, I respect it. I just don't know if I love the brand.
To each their own. But yeah, it's blazers, turtlenecks, very kind of chic, I would say. Yeah, it gets chilly at night.
It's the anti Kim Mulkey, basically, is what's going on.
Dignified.
It's the total vibe shit from Kim Mulkey, which is understandable. You don't always want to be like that.
I feel like you rarely do.
For sure. The first goal for San Diego was an absolute bang, very upper 90.
Yeah.
And then the second one was that team goal you mentioned. Maria Sanchez made her debut for the Wave in this game. I don't know if she totally made a huge impact, but it's also first game for the club, so not exactly holding her to a high standard there. And then no more Oshuala pink hair. It's a bummer.
Well, she had changed it last week as well, and it was actually very confusing because both her and Kundananji had blonde, and so it was really hard to tell who was who. But yeah, she dyed it back black for this game, so I was at least grateful that I could decipher who was making a run. But
yeah, but yeah, great goal from Jane Shaw. Good win for the Wave. Weird choice to play Tess Bodie as a 6 for Bay FC. Let's move on to the last game that we're covering in NWSL this weekend, which is your Gotham FC. You were there. You got to see a Rose Lavelle goal. Let's look at the positive of this. But you drew 1-1 with Louisville. So not a great result. But you got to see Rose Lavelle's alive. She's alive and playing soccer. Holy shit.
Right. And I think it's, telling that we were talking last week I don't know, when's the last time she was playing well even, and then she got on the field I don't know, 76th minute or something like that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why I love watching Rose Lavelle play soccer. And she scored a real fuck you goal to Matheus. And a fuck you goal. Let me go off on this ref really quick, because this is actually the story of the game. And it's crazy. Not just let me go crazy, because I even looked up his goddamn name. Center official Kalin Radazov.
Absolutely.
You're fucking bad at your job.
Let's
you are
go.
fucking bad at your job. And it's not even the fact that he called 20 fouls on Gotham players and 9 on Louisville players. Like, that discrepancy, whatever. It's the fact that you couldn't even play in the second half for like the first 30 minutes. There was no fucking rhythm, because every 2 minutes he was calling a foul. And obviously for Gotham, that's really disruptive to the way that they like to play. So I don't think I've ever been angrier, like sitting at a game in my life. And you know, there was a part of me came out that I did not recognize. I was yelling. I was screaming. I'm a very easygoing person.
You're not usually standing in the supporter section like doing a chant the entire time, really? That seems such like your personality. What do you mean?
No. I'm actually, well, I am pretty intense watching it, but I'm usually non-vocal.
You're sold.
Yeah, I'm in the smoker section. But so yeah, he was very bad at his job. Like, I'm like so close. How do I contact pro? Like, let's talk about this. If I see him on another match, I don't know what I'll do. But about the actual soccer that that they were able to play in the times that he wasn't calling fouls. The first half, it was just like got them possessing, but not really doing anything with it. Louisville didn't really have like a sniff, I'd say. But we just like, people aren't taking shots, and I usually am not like pro, like let's just cross the ball a bunch, but I think you need to do it sometimes. I think that's something we could do more of, just to create like some opportunities, because I don't think Astaire is getting much service at all. Second half, I do think it was better once like Rose came on, Ella Stevens came on, and we were able to actually play. And it was actually funny, like at a point, a bunch of Gotham players surrounded the ref, and they were like, probably talking like, why are you calling so many goddamn fouls? But after that, he called like no fouls. Particularly on when, yeah. So at least they were able to play. But yeah, I think Rose, she brought something different, like combining centrally with people, like purposefully. But the goal that we gave up, like Emma Sears, she did cook. She cooked some people. But honestly, all that could be avoided if Bruninha, she went in for a tackle like 50 yards from the goal, missed. And then now Sonnet's like isolated when she could have just, you know, tracked back with her and waited for people to come and help her. So that goal really could have been avoided, but 2 minutes later they equalize, and Red Bull Arena, it was fucking popping. So that was good. But I don't know what to say.
Are you hitting the panic button yet?
No, because I do see, like, I'm not seeing like poor performances. It's just the final third, really. Like, I think we're good most everywhere else on the pitch. And I'm like, maybe Rose like getting more minutes, like this will be helpful, and Lynn being able to play more will be helpful, but I'm still crying out for that winger.
Midge
because Mitch, you know, she just brought like that X factor of, you know, that we don't have anywhere else on the team. I also will say that I now really understand why they brought AKB in for as the keeper, because her distribution is like way better. And she's pretty calm. Like, I know she's like very calming presence, so I appreciate that as well.
It is always funny when your team like buys a player and then they like, you see them actually play and you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
You were a clear upgrade. I understand. I'm sorry for saying that we didn't need you. We absolutely did. It like reminds me so much of like the Leno Ramsdale thing was just like such a like, oh, holy shit, goalkeepers can do this with their feet. And like it was like such a huge step up that like from what Leno was doing, that Ramsdale looked like he was just like a midfielder with the ball at his feet when we had that upgrade. Let's move on now to MLS. Before we get into the games, some news broke this week that a team that does not exist is doing stuff. San Diego Football Club, that team with a boring name and the boringest logo you've ever seen in your
Cop
life.
FC, baby.
Yeah, they are. They're probably going to spend $12 million on Chucky Lozano, which, by the way, is 4 times the Rapids transfer record. They've played 0 games. The Rapids have been around since 1996. That is 4 times the Rapids transfer record that was Jordi Mihalovic for like $3 million this last window. Matheus, what do you think about Lozano potentially coming to MLS and being the first player on a team that does not exist yet?
So I've watched a lot of Chucky Lozano this season because he's playing at PSV with Malik Tillman, Ricardo Pepi, Serginho Dest, RIP, by the way, Serginho Dest.
Rip.
Towards ACL last week. But so he's played a lot of minutes second half of the season after coming from Napoli, where he was exiled for being bad. And he's at PSV, where they're running away with the league. I think they've lost like 1 game this season in like the league. And he's not the same guy. As in, he's like just not making the right decisions. He's not. He's running at guys, but he's like that final ball isn't the same. That burst isn't the same. He never lived up to the like sort of prospect that he was supposed to be. And I think PSV kind of regret bringing him back a little bit. Not that he's been awful, like they're winning all the time, but he's not starting, he's not playing every game. And then now San Diego is just like, hey, we'll pick him up, which makes sense for them. Like, credit to them, like on the border. It's gonna be great for that fan base. That is like that's the best acquisition they probably could make.
Absolutely.
But I don't think he's going to come in and be like an MVP candidate in his first year. I don't think he's like that superstar quality player. He's not Messi, for one. But I think it's going to be an uphill battle to get him to combine. I think he's just not combining like he used to, not in the box. He's just dribbling blindly in the 18-yard box and firing off shots. And that's rough to kind of do to a team depending how you're going to play. So we'll see. I think 12 million is a steep fee for him, even though, you know, he brings a lot to that market. It's worth it, but they're bailing out PSV in a really big way. So yeah, I don't know. Like, props to the ownership group for doing that. You've done one good-ish thing. But they don't have a coach yet. This can be their first player if it happens. So I think all the pieces have to come together to see if this is going to be something that's going to be fruitful. But yeah, it's going to depend on a really attacking style of play, a really direct style of play, and not like some sort of slow, patient build-up kind of things. That's not going to work with Chucky, I don't think, at all.
Yeah, I do wonder like the timeline of this, because they currently aren't a team. They don't have a coach. They don't have any other players. So if they sign him this summer, is he just going to be like training on his own for 6 months? Or are they going to like potentially like loan him back to PSV for 6 months and then like bring him in permanently in January? I have no idea like what the timeline of like when San Diego will have a team is.
So it's 2025 as I understand it, right? So I think he'll probably be on loan like other players have been. I think when Charlotte came in, they had Christian Fuchs as like a really early timeline sort of thing, and they loaned him back to Leicester, wherever he was. I think that's what happened. But yeah, I think it's just it's if he goes back to PSV, I think they'll take him just because he is a bit of a club legend there from his time before he first went to Napoli. But so that can be a good situation for him. But this deal hasn't transpired yet, right? I think it's like more rumors than anything official. And yeah, I don't know. Like, we'll see if this happens. If it happens, it'll probably be in the summer window. And then so it's like half a season. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if he like gets loaned back for half a season.
For sure.
It is what it is. So.
And if anything, it's a statement of intent by San Diego's owners. So, I mean, if you're, I guess, a soccer fan, and if you're a former loyal fan whose team's getting taken from you, and you're getting a new corporate one, enjoy Chucky Lozano. I mean, I will say that it doesn't make the like death of the loyal look good of like just like how bland and soulless the San Diego FC logo is. Like, just shines like such a perfect picture in my brain of like you took this team with this like great brand and identity and like fan base, and then just like corporified it, and it's just like we'll see how it plays out. Like, I'm curious to see how the people of San Diego show out for this team. Like, clearly the city loves soccer because they showed out for the loyal, they show out for the wave. So it'll be interesting to see. I do want to real quick, because you mentioned it while talking about Lozano. Dest is out for a long time for the national team. Real quick, who do you want it right back for Copa America?
Tim Weah.
You're a fucking hipster, so I knew you were gonna say Tim Weah. But here's the thing: I do like the idea because he played there for Juve this season, and I also think it just kind of frees up the team a little bit more. You can move Pulisic to the right, where he's played so well for Milan this season, and it also opens up a spot for someone who also has been balling out this season. Haji Wright might be a starter in the national team.
Yeah,
if we're doing that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I would do. I think losing Dest really fucking sucks because him and Weah fit perfectly together, hand in glove. They're great. The thing about Scally, who I think a lot of people would expect to play in that position, is that he just sucks at progressing the ball. I think I haven't watched much of Mönchengladbach this season, but everything I hear about their games is that they avoid giving the ball to Scally because he doesn't pass forward anymore. For whatever reason, he's just scared to make progressive passes. And Tim Weah, he's not Serginho Dest. He's not a super creative guy. He's a workhorse, and he's a smart guy. And who's going to play? I like to think of him and Serginho as Serginho being a sun and Weah being the moon that revolves around him, and that's how I think of him. Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
Sorry.
They're just like little buddies, right? And Weah's making runs all around Serginho. I think that Weah, that's a natural role. Essentially, he's doing a right back role where he's rotating around Serginho being a winger type position from fullback. So it's gonna have to be someone who moves creatively and makes instinctive runs. I don't know that Pulisic it is that person, but it's worth giving it a shot before you try anybody else and let Haji ball out on that left side.
For sure. And I think Haji's been good enough this season where he's definitely warranted to be able to play with the national team. And I would be happy to see him play, which is a long way that we've come from the World Cup where he had one appearance and didn't play all that well. All right, let's get into the actual games now for MLS. First one is Minnesota 2, Kansas City 1. What'd you think, Matheus?
This one was a
is that there's a fire alarm going off?
Is that any of us or is that Tosin?
I don't know.
It's not me.
It's not me either.
Oh no. Oh no.
Is he cooking?
Okay, it stopped. So
yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right. So Minnesota SKC. What happened, Chase?
Yeah. So this game got started off early with a quick corner goal by Boxall from Minnesota. And then Oluwaseyi also scored from a cutback early. And Minnesota were piling on a lot of pressure at the first parts of this game, right? I think they were always in SKC's final third. Not always possessing the ball, but always keeping the game in their half. The flip side of that is SKC is really good at playing along. I think they're first in league in long balls. I think they're fifth in long ball accuracy. So they're doing volume and quality of these balls where they're progressing the ball far down the field in one go really quickly. And that's what happened right now in the end of the first half is Polito scores off a cutback, I believe. I forget who. Doesn't matter who it was. Polito scores off a cutback to the top of the box to make it 2-1. And they start putting on a little bit more pressure. SKC does at the end of the first half. So what Chris Ramsey does is he pulls the horses in, because SKC can't possess the ball and do anything in the final third. They're always trying to hit on the break. This season, anyways, because the flip side last season. But Minnesota comes in and takes Pookie off, puts on Caden Clark to play in midfield, plays a 5-4-1, and says, "You're not going to beat us if you hold the ball." And nothing else happened for the rest of the game. Full stop. Just Minnesota 2, SKC 1. They made it as boring as fucking possible, but I think it was interesting to see that with a new coach, Chris Ramsey, already came in hot before he got to the club. He's been able to identify what works for them, knows like his players, his squad enough to be like, here, we're just gonna sit back and defend. I trust you guys to see this out. Because like I've got the scouting report and you guys can execute my ideas. That's it. So just bunker and stay behind an SKC team who's really trying to combine with Polito and Agata up front. They're not like gonna do some intricate play. They're really trying to hit on the break and like face the ball towards goal. So interesting from Chris Ramsey to do that and trust his guys at home.
Yeah, I watched the highlights for this game, and my only note that I wrote was, don't have much to say. And your explanation of, they just kind of held it down defensively is pretty apt. Also, I would say that Peter Vermees continues to be probably the funniest coach in MLS, because after, in his post-game press conference, was like showing a screenshot of the game to the reporters of like why he thinks the refs fucked up somewhere. He's not real. He's just like not a real coach. I don't know how he's like we talked about it last week, where he's like had his job for as long as he has, and like I really just don't get how that's possible.
It was Oluwaseyi's goal where he, like they said, it went to VAR and they said it wasn't offside, and it wasn't offside at all. Mm-hmm. He like might have had like a pinky toe after the goal, after the ball was passed, and he was just like red, huffing mad. And now it's gonna be the source of a bunch of memes, right? Where he's holding this up, like this, hello, like be serious, my man. No, he's going senile. He's going senile. I mean, credit to him. I think it's interesting that like he's last year SKC was a possession-based team. This year they're clearly punting the ball forward. So he's adaptable, and I think that's a versatile thing. Versatility is important in the coach, or can be important in the coach. But yeah, all these points drop from winning positions. Not this game in particular, but it's not looking great. It's not looking great for SKC.
All right, let's move on now to my beautiful Colorado Rapids. We went on the road to Cincinnati, the defending Supporters Shield champions, and we lost. And you know what? A lot of teams do that. You go on the road to Cincinnati and you lose that game. Like the first goal was like, it's Luciano Acosta scoring a banger. Like that's gonna happen because he's really fucking good at this. He's really good at the sport. We went down 2-0. We had a little bit of fight back with Moise Bombito scoring a goal. But we lost the game. I don't have any broad things that I'm taking from this game. I will still stand on that I think we are a playoff team, and that I don't think that opinion can change after losing a close game in Cincinnati. Like, if anything, last year's team would have gotten fucking smoked 4-0. Like, the fact that we like at least made the scoreline interesting, 2-1, like that shows more like of a actual fucking team than it was last year. And I've talked about him before, but I want to talk about Moise Bombito again, because I do think that he's just a fucking superstar. And any team in Europe that plays a high line should be scouting the living fuck out of him. Because holy shit, a center back that is this fast and is good in defending in tight areas, like he is so good. And he's still only like 22, 23. And Canadian international, 24, whatever, same thing. Still a young player. Like Foley was not a center back last year and is now just like probably the best player on this team. And he's so fun to watch every week. I fucking love that guy. I don't want the Rapids to lose him, but if a team in Europe that plays a high line is serious, they should get Moise Bombito. Like, it would pain me so much if he went to Spurs, but he would unfortunately be a good fit there.
Why would you even Why would you even speak that into the ether?
Listen, I don't want that either. But they have pace and power center backs, and getting another one would not hurt them one bit. Because if you want to play a high line, having a player like Moise Bombito is never going to be a bad thing, which is why he's succeeding so much with the Rapids. It's awesome. But tough loss for the Pids this week. But we're all good. We're okay.
I'm so impressed by your sunny disposition.
The Rapids bring me like nothing but joy because I don't have like serious expectations about them. Like I talked about them last year like this, where like
you didn't really care last year. Let me tell you.
Well, end of the year, I was like lost it. At the beginning of the year, when like the Rapids were like a little bit more fun at the beginning of last year before Max got suspended, they were like a fun distraction from Arsenal because they were like a team I cared about, but like with way lower stakes. And that's still the case, but this is like a genuinely better team, and it's great. Let's move on now to it has to be game of the weekend. LAFC 3, Portland 2. This game was fucking awesome. Emily, what happened in this game?
I feel like every time these two play each other, which feels like every other week.
Yeah, right.
Like it's just utter chaos. And to be honest, like LA made it hard on themselves. Like they had like ample opportunity to kill this game. They were 2 up at halftime, and just like kind of lazily let Portland in back into the game. Like the first goal Portland scored from Rodriguez, that was like a really nice goal. Like you kind of just have to be like tip your hat to them. But the second goal was just like a really bad clearance from the center backs, let them back and 2-0. And Portland, you need to get better at defending because you could have had a point on the road. And what at the death, Bouanga, of course it was him, sealed the win. But I don't think they haven't kept a clean sheet all season. And there's only been 2 occasions where they've kept their opponents to a single goal.
Is this LAFC or Portland?
This is Portland, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's like, with those numbers, like, you don't have a chance of doing jack all.
Yeah.
Like.
100%. Neville's not a serious manager. I'm so glad that we are all correct about him. I will say that one of my things from this game is I haven't sold my Tim Tillman stocks. That guy rocks. Like I really like Tim Tillman. He scored a banger in this game. He's a great player. I fucking love watching him.
Yeah, I like him a lot. How old is he? Like, what's his
26?
Oh, okay. Well, it's all over for him. He's MLS forever. Yeah.
He was born in 1999.
Oh, never mind. So 24.
Wait, how old is that?
I was born in 2001, so he's 24, 25.
You shouldn't admit these things on the air. I was born in
2001.
Yeah.
I mean,
boy,
I don't hide my age. I am 22.
You certainly don't. You actually, you hang it over us, aged folks.
Yeah, it is really fun because like saying I was born in 2001 is like a weapon. It can just really cut deep on people, and it's kind of fun.
It's really pre 9/11 or post?
Pre by like a couple months.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about 9/11.
It comes up. It's always on the mind.
It's true. Never forget. Orlando City lost to Toronto, Matheus. What happened? Toronto, my boys now, because I'm on the side that I think they're okay. What happened?
Well, they're okay when Duncan McGuire's playing, is basically what happened. They were in cruise control all the first half. I'm not going to say they were super dangerous, but Toronto wasn't having any of the ball or doing anything with it. Complete cruise control. McGuire scores from a ball played on the left-hand side from Facu Torres. He does the exact same thing again just before halftime, except it's like minorly offside. The first one was like a kung fu kick finish. The one that actually counted was like a really sick kung fu kick finish. The other one was like another like sick volley. Called off. He was pretty upset about it, but whatever. You're going to the break, winning 1-0. That's fine. Awesome. Second half comes around. Like Orlando makes a couple subs, and they just like don't really work. Like at all, Lordero comes on, I believe, for Ojeda. That was a mistake. Luis Muriel comes on for Maguire at 70 minutes. That was a fucking mistake. It's just like Oscar Pareja's moves. I don't want to say that he didn't have to do something because Toronto was like having a little bit more of the ball. Orlando was getting a little bit tired, but like nothing changed about the game control whatsoever. Toronto kept getting more possession, kept pushing, kept pressing the ball forward. Until they decided until Orlando was like real life penned in. And like 88th minute, like the commentators already starting to be like, you know what, Orlando's second half wasn't great, but they've defended valiantly. You know they're going to come out of this with all 3 points at home. They should be proud of themselves for their performance. They let a free header go, and Tyrese Spicer puts it in the net. All right, whatever. 2 points drop, fine, okay, no big deal. And then like a minute later, Bernadeschi tears up their entire defense. Doesn't like dribble anybody, but like it's 3-on-1, and he's just like keeping the ball, like driving it down the right hand side. Crosses it in back post to Prince Owusu, who just like doesn't have to jump, just like stands there, heads it at Pedro Grace's feet, who and just goes in the net. And the crowd's dead. You know, you just drop 3 points at home in the last 4 minutes or whatever the fuck it was. You should be embarrassed. The crowd was really good all night, giving you energy. Nothing fucking happened. Oscar Pareja not doing a great job this season. I don't know what's going on. I think trying to split time between Maguire and Muriel. We talked about this last week, but it's the Muriel transfer is looking uglier day by day, and I know it's not really their fault, but I think if it was just him and that Maguire this season, like they would be in a really ugly place, uglier than they are already.
I was about to ask if Blackburn was a serious organization, how bad would Orlando be right now?
That's what I'm fucking saying. Like, it's not great. Pedro Gaise looks a lot worse. I mean, a lot worse than he did the rest of his career. I don't know what's up with him whatsoever. Like the second goal that like I get that it was a header at his feet, but he's like very large, or not like very, but he's like directly in front of like Owusu. Like it's not a very powerful header. I think he should have been able to save that. And he wasn't far off, but yeah, no, they should be disappointed in themselves. Toronto's not a good team, and granted, Bernadeschi put in a bit of a shift that second half, but no, ugly.
Yeah, tough start to the season for Orlando. Let's move on to I definitely surprised because I think like LA Galaxy have started this season on fire, and Austin FC I don't think have exactly been lighting it up. Although I'm looking at the table, they've had a decent start to the season at the very least.
They won their last.
What?
I said I think they won their last 4.
Yeah, they've been on a nice little streak. If I'm high on the Rapids, I guess I have to be a little bit higher on them because we have the same point total to start the season. But a really impressive win at home from Austin. They won 2-0 against the Galaxy. There was no Joveljic for LA. Definitely think that had an effect. And then Diego Rubio got the scoring started for Austin 6 minutes in. It makes me happy as a Rapids fan to see Diego Rubio like healthy and playing well. But like, holy shit, like the movement that he has on that goal to play that 1-2 and then get in a really good spot to like get the second ball pass to him and then put it away with a really nice finish. It's like, oh man, that's exactly what I want a striker for the Rapids doing. Because that continues to be like an issue of just like, hey, can we score goals from open play? Someone like Diego Rubio can absolutely do that. We let him go for free this offseason. He's getting up there. He has had issues staying healthy, so I understand why we did it. But it is a little bit frustrating to watch him like play like this for another MLS team. But this is truly about the power of the best kits in MLS. And Austin FC got it done because they were rocking the best kits in MLS this weekend. And it was an electric first half from them. The stadium was bumping. And Brad Stuver had a serious fucking game in goal. Because LA did not, they didn't abandon what they've been doing all season in terms of creating really good chances. They had a lot of really, really close things that were goals. Brad Stuver had an excellent game. I think there was a chance in the second half where Puig takes a shot from outside the 18. It's going upper 90, and Brad Stuver somehow gets to it. It was an outstanding save. He stood on his fucking head. It was a great performance from Austin. Tough result for the Galaxy, but like they are still a fucking great team. And they didn't have Jovic, who honestly has been one of like their most impressive players for me this season. So great result from Austin. Get that win at home. That's got to be a momentum shift for them. And let's move on now to Miami 4, New England 1, which isn't exactly interesting on paper because it's like one of the worst teams in MLS against the team that has Messi. And, they smoked the shit out of them for a reason. More so what we wanted to talk about was like the Messi effect of the attendance and stuff like that. And also New England physically fucking dying. Like they had players in the hospital.
We have to go through the whole chronology of this game. I feel like the whole week.
Take us through it, Matheus.
Because I mean, like as you said, Mitch, the Revs fucking suck this season. They're disorganized. They're still beefing. They're probably not beefing in the locker room, but they're not. The chemistry isn't there, right? And Caleb Porter, MLS coach, proven winner, quote unquote, coming in to fight this fire. And so this week he was talking tough, being like, we're not going to play players that are going to be overawed by Messi. He's probably talking about Barterovic and Buck, the two younger like stars, I would say, like not the best players on the team, but up and coming players. Not going to play guys that are overawed. Going to play vets that are focused or whatever. And it gets to game day, and he doesn't even have fucking half the roster, right? He's missing Ivicic, the goalie who got brought in. He's missing Edwards, the goalie, the backup goalie who's there. So he has to play Ravas, who's like supposed to be exiled from the squad. He's missing, I don't know. Everyone's shitting themselves. Okay, I've got a story about everyone shitting themselves in a group setting before. I don't have to tell it, but I've been there. It's not.
No,
fun.
you don't have to tell it.
Please don't.
Norovirus is not a fun thing. But Esmir Braktovic can't get out of bed apparently. Matt Polster was in the ER from 3 to 7 a.m. and played 60 minutes of this game. Credit to him. But yeah, so when you're missing everybody to a stomach bug. Meanwhile, Messi rocks up to Boston. He has a huge crowd. He's at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel down the street, by the way, from the Emerson encampment. Everyone got arrested there. Shout out to them guys. But coming in, everyone's like the paparazzi is real for whatever reason. Soccer, the Revs games are always empty, right? There's like no one in the fucking stadium ever because it's in Gillette. It's far as hell to get to. You need a car. You need to be living out the suburbs. You probably need a season ticket to go, or you don't need a season ticket, but if you're not going unless you have a good reason to.
There's a reason that you live in Boston and aren't going to Revs games.
Well, yeah, like I would go to Revs games if they had a train that goes there. They had a train this game just because they ordered one for this Revs this season, just for Messi. They had a whole train run just for Messi, basically.
That's so fun.
Crazy.
62,000, I believe, was the crowd. I think the average Revs game is like probably about 3K, 4.
3 people.
It feels like it when I see it on camera.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know anybody. Like, I have a whole soccer club at my school. Like, I know people that play. I don't know a single person's been to a Revs game, dude. Not a single one. It's just tough. But he brought out the people. He brought $250 a ticket, $300 a ticket. 60K people came to watch him, and he showed out 2 goals. Right, Suarez also got one at the end as well. Mitch hit the over on his bet.
I did. Let's go. I got a tip from Matheus, and I got $40.
I told him everybody on the Revs is shitting themselves, and he was like, "All right, over 3.5 goals, Miami." That's the story of this game. That's the story of the game. Mitch got some lunch paid for.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting about like the Messi attendance and stuff like that, and like how it's presented in MLS is always interesting to me because it feels disingenuous. Like, well, to be fair, everything Don Garber does feels disingenuous. But like when Don Garber tweets like, "Oh, record attendance at the Revs games," but they're gonna have like 3K next week, it feels very disingenuous. And I understand that Messi is an attraction, and like I cannot make a big enough deal about how cool it is that the greatest player of all time plays in MLS. I think that it's fucking awesome. I enjoy watching Miami games for that reason. Like, it is cool. But I think the way that it's marketed, especially towards people that really care about MLS and really love MLS is that it always feels disingenuous, because it feels like, especially towards longtime fans, it feels like they're not being catered to, and it's more just like a crowd that might not be here in 3 years are more being catered to than like people that actually give a shit. Like the fact that like teams like Kansas City or New England are playing in football stadiums and they're actually filling them out when Messi's in town. It's like, wow, there is a demand here for soccer, but for some reason that's not translating to actual regular season games. Granted, for all the reasons Matheus just mentioned are reasons why people don't go to New England Revolution games. Like a smaller stadium would benefit them, a stadium downtown would benefit them, like 100%, and that is a whole separate conversation when it comes to original MLS teams. The Rapids have the same problem because we're all the way in fucking Commerce City. But it always feels disingenuous of like how the league markets Messi, of just like, look at this crowd, and it's like, well, yeah, Messi was there. That's why. Like, there needs to be more work done to be able to garner that kind of crowd. Like, Charlotte's able to fill up a football stadium every week, and they're not even a good team, or at least get close to filling up a football stadium. So why is like an original MLS team not able to do that? Why is there a train available when Messi comes to town, but there isn't one just any other game? Like, that's insane.
I think
they just lay down tracks, or
yeah, how does that
work? I mean, I could talk about MBTA all day, guys, but I have to say, like, I think a lot of it's like a brand refresh kind of thing. Like, Charlotte FC is fresh and new, and the Revs have been occasionally good, mostly mediocre for like 20 years, right? And they did a little bit of a brand refresh recently, right? They did like the whole new logo and the R, but like Robert Kraft is not like the shining example of a cool new owner coming into town. And I think, especially for a lot of the older, more conservative MLS owners, it's now that like Messi's here, or that like whatever, you know, the league is actually decent now, you're selling players, that they're willing to, like, they see the reason to invest, right? Before, MLS was just like, oh yeah, by the way, I own that too, on top of their NFL team or whatever, like exactly like Robert Kraft does. But now there's talks of a stadium downtown in Boston, for example, and they're talking about the NWSL stadium also converting an old stadium for the NWSL team.
It's a shit show, by the way.
It is a shit show, by the way. But well,
another time to talk about that.
Another time, to talk about Rock 3. But it's now that they're seeing these like incentives to invest and create better things for these MLS 1.0 franchises. And I think the way that Don Garber talks about Messi is just kind of the same way the old school owners talk about Messi, right? I think he's like not really talking to us as fans. He's talking to other investors. He's talking to like the owners who are more conservative, to try and get, more expansion franchises and more owners investing more money into the league. Just today, he was in Indianapolis because the USL stadium there is like having a fiasco because their USL owner backed out. It's a shit show, but he's talking about putting an MLS team in Indianapolis. I think that's kind of low-hanging fruit for them, but whatever. I think that's like what Don Garber's focus is just what's the word? Not seed money. Franchise fees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the word? Anyway, franchising fees. That's basically what it is, right? That's all he's after. That's his job. And that's how he's going to talk to us. It's not really treating us as like fans. He's treating us as like consumers.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like, hey, you're paying for Apple TV Plus. I like you for that. You are a subscriber number. You are not a person with a microphone. All right. Finally, last game that we are covering this week is Philly 1, Fake Salt Lake 2. How'd they do it, Matheus? How'd they win a game? How did Fake Salt Lake do it?
This was pretty fake. Philadelphia was the better team for pretty much the entire game. There were some moments RSL had some joy. Their first goal came from a moment where Philadelphia just randomly decided to like not track back. And then Gomez, Anderson Gomez, I forget his name. Anderson Gomez takes a shot from a tight angle. It's probably like 0.05 xG, and Andre Blake fucks up pretty bad. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's the easiest save in the world, but like it goes off his hands, goes under him, bounces like all the way up in the air, and dribbles into the net. And he's pretty upset about it. He's been injured for a few weeks now. They had a bye week last week, but before that, he was concussed. I think his back is a bit torn up as well. And so Oliver Schemle has been playing more and more often. This felt like a goal they gave up that was like pretty much because of goalkeeper rust. So I got a feel for Andre Blake, veteran goalie for a long time. There. And the second half, Philly comes out with a lot more energy, gets a whole fuck ton of chances. Gazdag puts one away that kind of gets deflected off and like get off his leg. Recovered by Quinn Sullivan, crossed back in, and he has like a little scoop turn. Really nice finish for the first one. But then like 2 minutes later, Gazdag misses one so bad. He's dead center of the goal, about 3 feet in front of the goal, and misses it like outside of the 6-yard box, like towards the corner flag.
It looked like he was like a plastic toy that couldn't bend his like legs.
And it was like one of those like sweeping moves. It was like a Premier League. It was like Arsenal. It was like peak Arsenal, peak Man City sweeping move. 20 passes in a row, and it just like hits like straight off his ankle and goes. So fucking depressing. But there was like that was the most obvious chance. But there was a ton of them. There was at least 3 or 4 pretty golden chances that were either totally missed or saved by RSL. And at the death, not quite the death, 89th minute, they get a free kick. RSL gets a free kick from quite far out. It's just lobbed in there, headed back out. And Katranis, the left back, scores his second worldie of the season. This one is from like, I don't know, 40 yards out, 35, 40 yards out. And he just rips it. It goes, it's a long arcing shot, gets side netting. Andre Blake really had no chance. I can't blame him on this one. But that was really the only chance RSL had in the last 20 minutes. And it was a screamer, a fucking screamer. And Philly's had just kind of dropped, and there wasn't really much pressure after that. Maybe 1 or 2 chances in stoppage time, but RSL escapes Philadelphia with a win, and really escapes because Philly really deserved this one. It's kind of, I feel really bad for Gazdag and Blake for this game.
They've had a couple like tough results so far to start the season. Philly, like they've been a good time, like a good team every single time I've watched them, but like they've also just not always been able to get the results. I think that they will be able to put together by the end of the season because I think Jim Curtin's a really good coach and I think they have a talented squad. But man, you can't be missing chances like that if you're Gazdag. But
yeah, they didn't lose anybody, and Quinn Sullivan has taken a big step up this season in that second striker role. Carranza, I felt, had a really good game. This game, like not a lot of chances to finish, but he was doing a lot to connect the play. A lot of really good hold up play, getting McGlynn involved. But yeah, I think they just need to get their shooting boots on. Gazdag really needs to get his shooting boots on. Because this was kind of ugly. I didn't realize also during the game that was mentioned, Gazdag he's a pen merchant, I guess. He's like 20 for 20 on pens.
yes,
In his Philadelphia career. I didn't realize that. I thought he was.
I momentarily forgot what that meant, and I was like, he sells pens? Interesting.
Daniel Gazdag sells pens. That's all for us this week. What a note to end on. What a high. That's all for us this week. Emily, thank you so much. Matheus, thank you so much. You guys know what to say.
3 tickets for challengers, please.
Peace.
It's perfect.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I can't leave. Okay, we gotta.
All right. I just texted and know we're done. So,
is there not a way for us to just like have the record button? Like,
he said he's going to teach me how to do it tomorrow.
Okay, sweet. Do we have to have is it like a login thing?
I think so. Something like I don't know how it works. I don't know how Riverside works, but
This looks nice, though.
no, it's a good little system. When we recorded the Arsenal edition this week, it like was really. Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off.